What does it actually take us to build a smart city, not just talk about one? Moderated Noura Al-Sawafi of Shell Oman. Speaker Sashi from Sultan Haytham City. Please welcome to the stage.
Good afternoon, all, and good to see you all here together. So we have spent a lot of time today speaking about energy, decarbonization, and systems that power our world, but none of that is working in isolation. And we are here exactly talking about, or the next conversation about how we tie all of that together in this infrastructure conversation. And smart cities in Oman is not just like a concept idea or just a government brochures. It's something happening. It's a real project with real consequences. My guest here today is Mr. Shashi from Sultan Haytham City Project, and I will let him introduce himself to you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? My name's Shashi. I'm an architect and a subject matter expert for sustainability and environment. So I'm working with the Ministry of Housing on the Sultan Haytham City project, which is one of 7 future cities that is being developed in Oman at the moment. So in essence, I get involved in every aspect of the rollout and development of these projects, ensuring that sustainability and environmental criteria are integrated and delivered as part of the process. That's a very quick explanation to what I'm doing.
Thank you, Shashi. And maybe we start with the word smart. So everyone has a different definition of smart based on their perspective. When you are in a room with a collaborative other decision makers, what does smart really means to you when you are making any decisions?
I think the word is overused, I would say. But from my perspective, it is about being in a responsive environment, creating a place, buildings that are actually able to respond to the different aspects that we need them to. So on a kind of general scale, we're talking about resource use. How do we optimize the resources that buildings and environments and neighborhoods use? How do we minimize energy, electricity? How do we potentially, say, harvest daylight so that we don't need to use electricity? How do we monitor resources like water, whatever we're actually using as part of our development? How do we make sure that that's not being wasted? So we're in an age now where sensor technology can be integrated into buildings and to environments, and that's what we're trying to do in Sultan Haytham City and the other projects. It's not going to be anything that's overtly expressed, but through your interaction with these environments, you will be able to know and control what's going on. So I don't know if I've answered the question, but yeah, that's the general kind of approach to smart. I would broaden it on a level to say it's not just about that technology, but it's also about how do you integrate living systems and nature-based solutions into the actual the wider context. How do you use planting as a strategy? How can you become smart about where do you landscape? How do you landscape? What's the effect of that intervention? You know, is it going to encourage people to move more through the city? Is it going to be something that takes people out of their cars and helps them interact?
Clear. So if we tie in the digitalization and the technology, 5G, fiber optic, cloud architect, and you are building Sultan Haytham from city from scratch. So you are not retrofitting, you are building something new. So how does that change what's possible? And what are the infrastructure decisions you are making now that will determine what the city looks like 20 years from now?
So, I mean, it's obviously difficult to predict which way technology is going to go, because every day we hear about new innovations, we hear about the speed of computers increasing, quantum computing. It may not actually be an aspect of creating more space for the infrastructure. It's just a question of leaving enough, the phrase in English is wiggle room in your design to ensure that you can accommodate these things in the future. So there is a reserve for, intensive fiber optic cabling, not just in the ground, but also making sure that the areas of the buildings that need to accommodate these things are considered carefully. And it is going to be the case that it's going to be much more, there is going to be much more use of kind of technologies that you can't see. Information is going to be transferred, as you know already, by Bluetooth, by different kind of invisible means. So that's going to be more and more kind of integrated into the solution. I mean, everyone, even 10 years ago, wouldn't consider how much the internet and email and having access to smartphones and everything was going to change how we interact, and that's going to be the same. It's just going to be a progression of where we are. The ability of a user to control their environment from their handheld device or whatever device is going to. Maybe they'll be controlling it from their digital specs in the future. Who knows? But that's where we're going. We're going for more user interaction, more bespoke kind of bespoke control of your environment, and being able to do things remotely. So what else was on our list?
Oh, so there is a lot of excitement at the moment or right now about the digital twins and essentially a live data-driven replica of the city. So are you building that at Sultan Haytham City? And more broadly, how are AI and data is being analytically actually being used on the ground, not just in theory, but in practice?
So one of the things that is being developed right now, and it's in the center of Sultan Haytham City, is called the IOCC, which is a Integrated Operations Control Center. So this is going to be like a hub building that controls many of the operations of the city. It's going to be a major kind of piece of infrastructure that helps to manage different aspects of the city. When we talk about AI, it's going to be sort of learning patterns of movement, traffic flows and everything else that are happening in the city, and changing maybe traffic lights to control flow in different ways. It's going to be the type of system that learns about the occupancy at different parts of the city and adjusts flows, so you don't get the situation like you get on some Muscat roads that there's build-up of traffic. So it's a question of controlling these flows in such a way that you can actually get smoother movement. In terms of many of the developments are going to be using digital twin. So digital twin is basically a very advanced computer model of your asset, which is used throughout the life cycle, from design, construction, then more importantly to operations. So these things are used for predictive maintenance, understanding when different things need to be changed, and having a lot more of a streamlined approach to actually managing your asset and not creating situations where things aren't working. And this is all obviously going to be underpinned by AI, which is going to learn about the patterns of usage in buildings and networks. When I talk about networks, I'm talking about neighborhoods and all these different environments.
Yeah. So smart cities, they don't just happen. They just need a very good and strong alignment between government, private sector, utilities, and service providers. From where you are sitting at the moment in Sultan Haytham City, do you see that collaboration is working well? And if not, where are the gaps?
Yeah, city building, making environments is a collaborative enterprise. The government, the ministries have taken a really bold approach. They've put forward a vision of the future that's very enticing, absolutely deliverable. They've engaged with the best architects in the world to get the best product. In terms of where I've come in, working with the teams, it's all about keeping your eye on what the end environment is going to be, where, what kind of livable place is this going to be? Is this going to be used? Are these environments going to be used in the way that the visualizations have been put forward? Because obviously they're putting forward an ideal. I think the challenge is kind of trying to find that sweet spot between what the different stakeholders and developers and private entities that are actually developing the city are wanting, and what obviously the state of Oman are wanting, and trying to find where that happy medium is, where we do get those environments, we do get the kind of natural environments that people want to live in, with loads of trees, with loads of walkable communities, and just reminding those stakeholders of what the final outcome is that we're looking for, and just keeping our kind of focus on how to achieve it. Obviously, there are always things that we have to overcome. There are challenges, but we've got enough really committed people in these teams to make sure it happen, and really excited to be part of this project and delivering what's happening in Oman now.
So from regulatory perspective, I think the regulation related to infrastructure are quite extensive, but tying those regulation to be like an AI and digitalization and making it smart is the challenge where it lays. That's from my point of view. So Shashi Sultan Haytham City is considered like a cornerstone of the Oman Vision 2040. So from your perspective, do you see that the roadmap for the smart cities in Oman is very clear? Or let me just rephrase the question. How do you see cities like this shaping the country's economic and social future over the next 2 decades?
So Sultan Haytham City is just one of 7 future cities that are being developed all over Oman. So the whole kind of aspect is it is obviously going to be an economic driver, creating opportunities for employment. There's been lots of economic modeling that's gone into each of these cities, whether it's in Sohar, New Salalah. There's going to be a new city in Nizwa. They're not just looking at the spatial framework. They have modeled the economic viability of what's going to happen in these places. They have modeled what the in-country value is likely to be based on the mix of uses that they're proposing. So there's been a lot of kind of background to support the designs and the diagram that's being put forward, and it's a question of just making sure that all the ministries involved, that all the stakeholders involved know the level of detail that's been that's been progressed, and that it is not just pretty lines on a page. There has been some very careful thought and consideration that's gone into how to make all these projects viable and successful. I lost my track there, so I don't know if I answered the question.
It's okay. So this is my final question to you, Shashi, and I will keep it simple. For those in the room, whether from the government or industry or from private sector, what is the one thing that you would ask them to do where they can support and accelerate meaningfully in Oman's smart cities journey, starting today?
I've actually got three things. I'll keep them brief. So I think everyone needs to consider, how do they get from A to B? I know at this point in time in Muscat, that's a very easy question because everybody goes by car. But in terms of engaging with these future cities, they are designed as walkable communities and designed in such a way to make them be able to be walked. So that's something people should consider. You know, can you use different modes? Can you take an e-scooter? Can you cycle? Different ways of engaging with the city. It's all been built in to the way it's planned. There's all specific zones. Can you do that? Also, second point, waste. In the UK, it took nearly a generation to keep the Keep Britain Tidy campaign established. And so it became socially unacceptable to throw waste out into the street. So that kind of thought needs to be brought to this place as well. But obviously, we're trying to accelerate it to a stage where recycling becomes the norm. So just consider where you put your waste, where you put your garbage, and make sure that it's not going to end up in a hole in the ground. The last thing I would say is controversial for an architect to say is plant a tree, because that's going to be the biggest impact you can make in the city of the future, is to create a situation where you are helping to control the environment, you're going to mitigate against the effects of climate change, and climate change is happening. It's not something that we can avoid, and you know, the impacts that are going to be in Oman are considerable. So yeah, planting trees is going to be a major impact to control all this.
Thank you so much, Shashi. And I think this conversation is really rich and important because we are not talking about a distant idea. We are talking about a real life project, and real-time decisions are being made that will affect how Omanis will live and work for generations. And this is exactly how the OSW talks, the kind of conversation they should have. So thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, the floor is open for you. No, going 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.